Same story for the Sacramento Kings. Can't shoot the three, can't defend the three. Get off to a bad start. They went over 2 minutes towards the end of the first quarter. The game was 21-15, and before you know it, the score was 34-15.
Yep.
Right? Then you get back into the game. It's manageable at halftime. And you come out in the third quarter and get your doors blown off, game over. It's unbelievable to me. It really, but it's the same freaking story almost every single night.
We could save ourselves the 55 minutes and I could just put a graphic up really quick and just explain this very simply to people, what happened tonight. So you see here at the top, Malik Monk bringing the ball up. Very, very lazy pass. Just kind of floating it right there. Steal. Now let's come back down to this end. DeMar DeRozan, pass coming from here. Let's chase the steal. Nope. Ball comes to Booker right here. Spot up three. Bingo. Turnovers and threes. 38 points off of Sacramento's turnovers tonight.
So take any show over the last 3-4 years and play it, and you'll hear me talking about when are the Kings going to get a legitimate point guard. Again, I mean, this falls clearly on Monty McNair. And I've been open about this. You know, I think Doug Christie was put in a very difficult position for a variety of reasons. He wasn't, in my opinion, ready for the job. He wasn't in line to get the job. He was thrust into a position that anyone would have taken, myself included. There's no way you would have said, no, You're going to take the opportunity of a lifetime. So I don't put that on Doug. Doug's clearly not an NBA head coach. He's just not. All right. And that's not knocking him. That's not being negative. That's not being critical. He's fine to be on the bench and be an assistant. I'm okay with him being a lead assistant, but he's not an NBA head coach. And
Why?
Right? Huh?
Why do you say he's not an NBA head coach? What
because he doesn't have he doesn't have a good enough feel, not for the game, because he understands the game.
Sure.
He doesn't have, in my opinion, the coach's feel for decision making within the course of the game. There's a difference. There's a difference.
And it shows with execution out of timeouts. It shows with the little things like that. I mean, the Kings turnovers, shot clock violations out of timeouts, miscommunications. It's a problem.
We talk about this almost every night. Doug Christie was asked about this after the humiliating loss last night in San Francisco about changing the lineup. And what that means is putting Keon Ellis in. He is so stubborn to go down this way with this lineup that does not work. Okay? It does not work. And I don't know what has happened to Malik Monk, but if I'm the coach of this team, I am taking Malik Monk. I am taking him into my office, and I'm saying, listen, you're one of my most valuable players, but you're not being valuable to me in your role right now. I'm taking you, and you're going to be my sixth man. I need you to relish it. I need you to kick ass and be the sixth man that you were before you got inserted into the starting lineup. That's what I'm doing tonight.
Okay. If I'm Malik Monk, I would be firing right back at you then, Coach.
Go ahead.
I would say, Coach, what's my role then? What offense are you going to run? Did you know my big man, Domantas Sabonis, has been out for 3 games? Our play, our pick and roll, we're your bread and butter, Coach. You got 3 separate islands with me off the court between Levine, DeMar, and Sabonis.
Well, this all adds up to a mess. And let me tell you, when you look at the schedule, Memphis is coming in. They're not playing great right now, but they're better than Sacramento. I don't see many wins. I told you, I don't think the Kings are going to win 40 games. I said this a couple of weeks ago. I don't think they're going to win 40 games. I don't see 7 wins on the schedule.
Okay. I think we need to stop saying win and we need to say competitive. Are the Kings going to be competitive in this next homestand based on what we've seen in the last 4 games?
No, they're not. And the reason why they're not is they're not good enough to be competitive on a consistent basis. They have good enough players, but the system doesn't work. The pieces don't fit. And it's almost like it's a schizophrenic team is what it is.
You know, Zach LaVine, you could almost make the argument that Zach LaVine is not working within what they're doing right now. Even if you take Malik Monk out, Zach LaVine got most of his scoring done in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, when the game was over.
When the game was over, he only had, I believe,
He was terrible.
5 shots at halftime.
He was awful last night, and he was awful tonight.
But do you blame that on Zach? Do you blame that on what they're doing? I mean, if you don't watch basketball and you watch tonight's game, you clearly saw the Kings had one intention every possession. They had one spot to go, and if they couldn't get the ball to that spot, then it would be a little bit of a scramble.
Okay.
It would be a turnover. They'd be trying to force it in. You can't give away that many possessions, Grant, when you're only getting 81.
All right, so last night, I believe it was last night.
Yeah.
And again, plus minus can sometimes not be a strong argument on a game-to-game basis. Last night, Zach LaVine had a horrific plus minus of minus 34.
Correct.
Tonight, he had the worst plus minus on the team at minus 21. Now, think about that for a minute. In 24 hours, add up that, right? That's embarrassing. And and the reason why I think it's relevant here is he played a lot of minutes last night and played a lot of minutes tonight, 36. So he's been on the floor most of the game.
Yeah.
He's one of the reasons, in my opinion, why the Kings are so inconsistent right now. And maybe you take him to the bench. I talked about this on my rant last night. And by the way, I'm going to do a rant here later in the show. And if you have some ideas for me on a rant, send them my way on the chat line. Doug Christie is watching his dream slide through his hands. Okay? And you have an owner who loves Doug. You have Matina who loves Doug. They kiss his ass. All right? But the fans are going to demand changes. And the media is already starting to change their tune on Doug. Okay? Yep. And if you think being a fan favorite as a player means anything, go talk to Vlade Divac and see how that worked out for him. The reality is it doesn't matter what you did as a player when you now have a new role. Fans are going to give you a longer honeymoon period. They're going to give you longer leeway. They're not going to trash you, but they're also not going to turn a blind eye to what a problem is.
Yeah, no doubt about it. The media has begun to push back a little bit on what Doug's saying and how things are being ran. I think it's an excellent point. All right, let's bring you in the conversation. If you're just joining, you can scan the QR code that is not currently up. Let's put that up right now.
Here we go. I'll put it up right now.
Got it up. You took it down. I got it up. That's all good.
I'll let you run the show. My bad. I should let you just do it. Go ahead. Look at my hands. I got them. Go ahead.
Hands up.
Put it up.
Hands up, please. QR code.
You know what? I took the code off yesterday when I did the Connor Element Mortgage read because I didn't want 2 QR codes up and I forgot to put it. So that's my mistake. I'm bad. But go ahead. You take it away. You listen. Here's my problem. I've always been the captain for so long. You're the captain of this show. I'm the co-pilot, and I need to let you run the controls. So go ahead, buddy.
Hey, Napes, I'm good with one mistake. Just don't give me 19 like the Kings tonight, buddy. You can use the QR code, or you can hit this link that is floating around in the chat. We'll keep posting that. Let's kick it off to you. Let's hear what you have to say. Dirk, how you doing tonight?
Oh, I'm pissed. That was just a gutless performance. All around. Like all I wanted to see was that fourth quarter is just put in guys that were going to put in the energy on defense. Put in a lineup of Jake LaRavia, Keegan, Keon, and Sabonis and Monk. The Kings were most effective in this game at the end, near the end of the second quarter, when they were running an offense that had nothing to do with Zach LaVine. And it was working. Just put in some freaking defense. Guys that were going to bring the energy. We could have come back in this game. Just gutless all around.
Well, I'll
What
tell
are
you,
we playing for?
Jake LaRavia brings the energy, but I also, and I'm going to say this, and I know it's not going to be a popular opinion. Kings fans have completely overvalued LaRavia. All right, you've made him out to be a much better player than he is. I love his energy. I absolutely do. But the reason why Memphis had no problem giving him up is he's an inconsistent player. He was inconsistent in Memphis. His role in Memphis was up and down. Great guy. All right. I've got a full scouting report on him from my buddy Eric. Excellent shooter, but he hasn't been shooting the ball well on a consistent basis. And yeah, I love his energy. But you know what's sad? It's sad that we have to sit here on a postgame show when a team is fighting for their playoff lives and talk about effort and energy with players that are making millions and millions of dollars. You know how sad that is that we're even having this freaking conversation, Dirk?
Great, it is, but you're giving the scouting report on Jake LaRavia's first 2 years, not his this year, which is the year he turned it around. What we also had the scouting report
Stop it. He hasn't turned it around.
We also had
Please,
the scouting
Dirk,
report on Zach
Dirk, you're
LaVine.
overvaluing him. He hasn't turned it around. Stop it.
Okay, let's talk Zach LaVine, because the word was out on Zach LaVine that he was this guy around the NBA. So clearly scouting reports matter a lot to this team. When you're going to bring in, you could have brought in anybody, like a young player with some upside for De'Aaron Fox. And it's just, we are just going, we have no direction moving forward. This is just asinine silliness. This team has lost its heart. They're playing for nothing. They don't look motivated.
All right, and that falls on the coach, doesn't it?
Yeah, Doug looks a little silly. Like, put in some guys that want to play like you, Doug. Don't put in these guys, don't kowtow to the stars who are not closing out. Zach LaVine, even Malik Monk was getting cooked all night on defense. Like, put in guys who want to play, and let's just see what happens.
So, Dirk, that's where we're at right now with a record of 500 and a handful of games left. We're to the point now where all you want to see is the guys that want to play an effort, and you'd be okay with that as a fan?
Sacramento's always been okay with that.
Well, and that's the problem. You can't be okay with that.
It's the secret sauce in Sacramento.
Kings point differential now is down to 0.8, Ryno. And I'll tell you, I think it's going to be below 0 after this homestand.
No doubt about it. Can you limit the damage? Can you play in close games? Grant, Boston, Oklahoma City, back-to-back nights. You just had Phoenix and Golden State in back-to-back nights, and they shot 46 of 82 from beyond the three-point line. That's right. San Diego State math, 55.7%. So
I'm impressed with your math.
How about that? Dirk, so who would you put in? What are you doing, Coach Dirk? Dirk dropped off. He's like, I'm done with it. All right.
Listen, and I like Dirk, and Dirk's very knowledgeable.
Yeah,
and Dirk is a frustrated fan like all of us. And so I get Dirk, and I understand where he's coming from. But how sad is it that we are now talking about a Sacramento Kings team that's 500, who's lost 4 in a row, and the last 3 have been awful blowouts: Knicks, Warriors, Suns. And we're talking about effort and put guys in that want to play and that they've lost their heart and this and that. To me, what's Doug's greatest strength? Doug's greatest strength is heart. Doug's greatest strength is he is a fabric of the Sacramento community. He is one of those Kings players whose lore will live on forever, okay? He's that guy. And again, I'm not bragging. I know Doug better than any of you that are on the stream right now, unless his wife is watching, and I don't think Jackie is watching, or his son. I know Doug inside out. I know how he thinks. I know about his basketball pedigree. I know about his knowledge. We spent hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours together, okay? I know how Doug talks to the team. I know everything because I know the guy. If you as a player can't play for a coach who puts his heart out there for you and is 100% committed through thick and thin to the organization and you as a player, and will back you up and will put his arm around you, and at times be tough when he has to. If you can't play for that guy, then you know what? You need to be out of Sacramento. That's my point.
Okay, I'm going to play devil's advocate because the media, as we talked about already, is pushing back on this about structure, best players on the court, etc. We hear the word professionalism all the time when it comes to the NBA and professional sports. Doug can be all those things, but as a head coach and as a coaching staff as a whole, there's a level of professionalism that you need to bring to the game plan. And I am not implying that Doug is not doing that, but what I'm saying is these clearly, the problem is not Doug's inspiring, getting them going. There's something that they don't believe in. You can see it in the body language.
All right. So let me ask you this question, because it was brought up last week, and now I think it's more relevant than it was last week. Are the Kings missing Luke Lux?
How can you say they're not?
That's exactly right. How can you say they're not? And I will also add this. I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know what's going to happen here in the remaining games, but I do know this. If I own the Sacramento Kings, the first thing I'm doing after the last Kings game this year is I'm firing Monte McNair, and I'm going in a different direction.
Think he's going to care?
Yeah, I think he's going to care because he's never going to get a general manager's job anywhere else. So, yeah, I think he'll care.
Why do you think he won't get a job somewhere?
Because I don't think that he's a candidate that is high on the list of a lot of teams in terms of like, oh, we got to go get Monte McNair. He was fired by Sacramento.
Right. But I think is that kind of the Sacramento stink wears off. Bottom line, executive of the year. Did he earn that executive of the year?
Mike Brown was coach of the year. He's never going to be a head coach in the NBA again.
Well, how many times has Mike Brown had a chance to do that? This was Mike Brown's last chance, probably.
Well, but he also was the only coach in NBA history to be the unanimous coach of the year.
Yeah.
So, I mean right?
I got you.
But again, here's the biggest issue that I have, and I've been saying this for months now. This team is poorly constructed. Not poor players, not bad players. The players on this team are actually very good. If you look at their career resumes, they're very impressive. Would you agree with me?
Absolutely.
But they don't fit. There's no system. There's no point guard. And the fact that Monte McNair in 2025, we're having a conversation in March, and this team still is without a legitimate point guard is mind-boggling to me in a league where the point guard is clearly the most important position on the floor.
Yep, absolutely. And look, there's two things that happen. You either get players that fit your system or you fit your system to the players that you have. And I don't think we're in either of those categories right now, Names.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's bring Donald in on the conversation. Good evening, Donald.
Hey, Grant.
Donald.
Good evening, guys. How you doing? I'm just as pissed as everybody else. Tonight was hard to watch. I think a few minutes into the fourth quarter, I just stopped watching it, and I just couldn't anymore. It's frustrating to see a whole bunch of decent, good players on a dysfunctional team. That's what it seems like to me. It seems like a dysfunctional team.
It starts with the owner.
We could blame the owner, but then what? I mean, what do we do?
We can't do anything because he is the.
Do we boycott?
Do
we boycott going to the game?
That's up to you. I'm never going to tell the fans what to do. I don't think it's I'm going to say this, okay? I have a lot of people that follow me, and I have a lot of Kings fans that still value my opinion, and I think that's why Ryan has joined me and seen the success of this show and on social media. I don't want to be the guy who appears to be some bitter former employee who is telling the fans to boycott. I don't want to be that guy. That's up to you. That's not up to me. I would never come on this format with all of the viewers that we have and that watch these shows after we're done. I would never tell the fans to boycott the games. If that's what you want to do as a fan and get it started, that's fine with me, but I'm not going to be a part of that. And I hope you understand why.
Fair enough. I guess I mean, I've been to a few games this year, and it has crossed my mind. It's like, why I mean, we got to protest somehow. We got to protest Vivek somehow.
Well, that's up to you. You need to figure
and-
it out. I'm not going to be here with Ryno. That's not what we're going to do. Ryan, and I'm speaking for Ryan now because I know he agrees with me. We're not going to come on a show that talks primarily Sacramento Kings basketball, who have a lot of passionate fans like yourself join us, and tell the fans not to go to the games and not to watch the games. I'm not going to do that. It's not who I am, and I'm never going to do that.
All right. Well, I was just throwing that suggestion out there. I was just so fans can think about it.
And that's how
I'm a New York Giants fan, and I've been a season ticket holder, although I'm not currently most of my life. I wouldn't have any problem starting a boycott because I didn't work for them. I'm not in the media. No one knows me in New York. That's different. But in Sacramento, I'm never going to do that.
Hey, you guys get Aaron Rodgers, you might be starting that boycott. Buddy.
You know what? If we get, and Aaron's a friend of mine, and I love Aaron, but I hope that doesn't happen. I really don't.
I don't know. I'm just frustrated. There doesn't seem to be any answers. I see people talking about Fox and stuff like that. If we would have kept Fox, anything would have changed at this point? It doesn't seem like no matter what we do.
No, it wouldn't have changed. Fox was unhappy here, and if they had not traded him, he still would have been unhappy. And I guarantee you, if he had not been traded, he probably would have went in for his pinky surgery weeks ago. But Fox had checked out on the team. He checked out. No, it wouldn't have made any difference. You probably would have been worse.
I'm starting to wonder if this team is checked. If this team is some players on this team right now are starting to check out.
Based on the last 3 games, they look like they've checked out. And when you look at the schedule upcoming, they're going to get embarrassed on their home court. And when you get embarrassed on your home floor, you know what happens? You get 17,000 fans booing your ass.
That's right.
Booze.
And
that's what you can do. You can booze.
Yeah, all I was going to say is I don't think when you're talking about a boycott, what are you boycotting? There's a couple of articles that's come out and some bad basketball. I think if the fans are searching for anything, it's probably some answers at this point. How did this great product that we saw in 22-23 turn to where we're at now and have so much turnover? So I think that's where it begins. And you do that through the media. And the media has already started kind of picking at that right now.
Yep.
Yeah. So there's no answers right now. That people are just venting in the chat. People are just pissed, saying anything. There's no answers. So I think.
And you know what's going to happen? You're going to host a game against the pathetic, injury-riddled. They have their entire team is hurt.
Dante Exum broke his hand tonight.
I know Exum broke his hand tonight. Have you ever seen anything like this? This is like New Orleans this year, isn't it? I mean, it's unbelievable. So you're going to play. Well, actually, I still think Phoenix might catch Dallas. And I don't know about you, but I don't care if you're playing a game in Sacramento, Phoenix, or on the moon. I'm not picking the Kings to beat the Suns in a 48-minute winner-take-all with Durant and Booker. And guess who else did not play tonight for Phoenix? Did you see who did not play?
Yep, Nick Richards.
Yep, and Grayson Allen, who kills the Kings, who's a tremendous three-point shooter.
And Plumlee got ejected tonight, by the way.
What's that?
Plumlee got ejected tonight.
Yes, that's correct.
Sabonis should have
had a field day.
Yes, he had a triple-double. Overshadowed on his return. By the way, he took a bad step. Pay attention to that. That should have been looked at by the refs as well.
Yeah, I missed that. What quarter was that? I didn't see that.
That was third quarter. And
I missed that.
It was Phoenix's rookie, Ryan Dunn. He hugs him, and he basically, not going to say zuplexes him, but he tries to just throw him out of the way, and Domas took a legit bad step and went right for that hamstring. So,
yeah, well, this homestand that's coming up, starting with Memphis, Memphis, I think, Memphis is coming off a loss to Cleveland tonight. I don't see how the Kings are going to beat Memphis. I could see them contending with Chicago, who's playing much better. I don't see how they're going to beat the Cleveland. They're not going to beat Boston. I don't see how they can beat Milwaukee. I don't see how they can beat Oklahoma City. I'm sorry, I just don't see a lot of wins left on this schedule. I don't think they're going to win at Orlando. I think they will win at Washington. I think they will win at Charlotte. I think they're going to lose at Cleveland. They're going to lose at Detroit. Call me a pessimist, call me negative, call me whatever you want, but I don't see it. I don't see how this team's going to beat any of these teams I just mentioned.
Well, here's the reality of that then. If you don't beat Memphis and then you don't beat Chicago, you're looking at close to a 8-game skid, 9-game skid.
Yes. Yes.
Sure, at 4 right now.
Well, if that happens, you might find yourself in 11th place. Although I just don't see how Dallas can possibly win a game with I mean, they honestly have their entire team basically hurt.
Yeah. Hey, Donald, thanks for joining us tonight. We appreciate you.
Yeah, we do. Thank you very much.
Thanks for taking my call, guys.
We always love getting calls for the first time, and fans keep on calling the show. Don't forget about New Works Plumbing. They've got a fix for you. Too bad they can't do anything about the Kings' poor play, but that's not what they do. They are plumbing experts. They are available around the clock 24/7. Call that number on your screen. Go to their website. Get in touch with New Works Plumbing. They are awesome. New Works Plumbing, they've got a fix for you. And don't forget, a rant with Grant. I could do a lot of things tonight, but give me some ideas coming up later in the program.
I just didn't think we'd be sitting here talking about another game like the Dallas game that the Kings won in overtime, where they gave up 22 turnovers for 36 points.
Yeah.
And then you see tonight. That's crazy. That is a lot of turnovers. Let's get Chang in on the conversation. Thanks for waiting tonight, Chang.
I think my biggest concern just kind of became realized is it surprising that, when Monk and Sabonis were injured, that this team seemed to play a little bit better? Because I just felt like the pecking order was very apparent where, pretty much it's going to be Levine and DeRozan as the lead guys, and everyone else were just kind of like starting players, but they're like the hustle defense guys. Like with Sabonis and Monk injured, we went toe to toe with Denver, toe to toe with Clippers, and unfortunately with Monk back in the lineup, we've been being blown out. And I just think that it's this weird hierarchy. Like, I'm gonna ask you guys, who's the number one option on this team?
Grant?
They don't have a number one option, but they've got guys that when they're on their game really aren't guardable. So, I mean, that's how I would characterize it. They don't have that superstar, obviously, but I mean, DeRozan's been the number one option a number of times, correct? I mean, we knew that before he came to Sacramento. I mean, if Levine's got it going, he's a guy that you don't have a problem being the last option. Probably that's it, right?
And I think that's my biggest concern, because when I look at this team, it seems that Monk and Sabonis work together. So when they're on the floor, they want to play together. And Levine and DeMar, they have that chemistry of playing together before. And so our starting five, it seems like, we're split where they kind of want to do their own thing. And there's just no synergy between the starting five. And you just can kind of see that. And I think that's my biggest concern, is that our starting five actually seems like our worst lineup out there. And I don't know how that's going to get fixed, because, it really seems that DeMar and Levine play the best when they have the ball. But when Sabonis and Monk are on the floor, they may need to play off ball. And I know there's a lot of critics of Fox, but the one thing I appreciate about Fox was, he really let Sabonis and Monk, flourish. And he was able to play off ball. He played more defense. And when he had to pretty much take over with the second unit, he did do that. And unfortunately, I don't think we have that player to kind of play off ball with Fox, with Monk and Sabonis, because I'm really surprised that Levine doesn't seem to play well off ball at all. He needs the ball. You can see him in fourth quarter where when he got the ball, he just started scoring again, even though the game was out of reach. You saw that aggression, and it was just like, why couldn't he do that earlier? And it really seemed like early in the game, Monk was just pushing the ball, trying to get to Sabonis, and it just almost makes it where we have too many guys, again, just saying, like, with the lineup chemistry, that needs the ball. And again, this is going to be just an issue with the makeup of the roster. And when I really think about this, I really do put a lot of the blame on Monte McNair. Again, there's always going to be blame going around for the coach and the players, but to me, when these players are so good, like, we are all just apparent that the fit is just not there. And I don't know, it's just kind of concerning that everyone we all had concerns about the roster fit, but they still went with this roster. And I don't know, it's just concerning.
Thank you.
I think you can, up until today, summarize this season by spelling out these 4 letters and putting a question mark behind them. Keon, Keon, question mark. It's been the story of the season because to me, Chang, that's the guy that's the wild card. Him and Jokic are the only 2 players in the NBA that are in the top 10 in 3-point shooting and deflections. So he can play. He's kind of like that wild card. If you're playing a card game, he can go anywhere. He can open up things, hide things. Doesn't mean he's going to give you 30 points a night, Grant, but defensively, he offers so many more solutions than DeRozan, Monk, and Levine together.
Yeah, I don't see any fix for the Sacramento Kings this season. They're going to have to do some major work this summer, and I think they're going to have a new front office, and I think they're going to have a new head coach.
We will see. Robinese, what's going on?
Oh man, I just got home from the game. How you guys doing, man? Can you hear me?
Thank you for calling.
Good. Yeah, you were at the game. Nice.
Yeah, I was at the game today, man, and I'm going to say hop on the last thing the guy said because that's my main point. We need to move forward with Keegan Murray, and whoever else. Get rid of Monty McNair. Get rid of Wes Wilcox. That would be the best thing. And then get a new cook in the kitchen. We need a new cook in the kitchen because it's a culture thing. There's no way that we're not closing out on these threes, man. There's no way. They're actively playing video games out there where they're driving to the hoop and kicking out. They were doing that all night tonight. And like you said, Grant, if Doug Christie's best attribute is heart, to follow up what you said earlier, if his best attribute is heart, I don't want that, Grant. I know that we need that, but I don't want that. That's your best attribute.
I understand.
Because that's not receptive.
I know.
Yeah, because the players are not receptive. Yep. Yes, sir.
No,
I'm sorry.
and that's fine. It's not being critical of Doug. Again, I would have done the same thing if they had come to me and said, "Hey, you want to coach the rest of the year?" I would have said, "Sure." And how much more money am I making? Doug is very money oriented. Trust me, I know him very well. That would have been very appealing to Doug. And it's a chance of a lifetime. By the way, who isn't money oriented? You know what I mean? We all want money. But the point I'm trying to make is, I'll say this kindly, right? If all 30 teams in the NBA had coaching vacancies, not one team would call up Doug for an interview. Do you understand? That's just the reality of the situation.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
He got an opportunity. Make the most of it. Be ready for that opportunity. The unwillingness to play around with things. This is the time to play around. At what point? This homestand? It's got to be it. See if that double big lineup will work. See if you can mix it up. From your shot at the arena, how did the team look hustle wise? Was it?
Oh my God! Did you guys see? It was giving up on plays. Once I seen Mason Plumlee show the most effort today with that dunk he had off that steal, I said that was crazy. It was a lot of just non-closing out. Like, if you know Booker has the ball, why are you giving him space? Why are you giving these players space? It's like they're not going back to the bench and nobody's telling them, close out, close out, close out. I'm over there screaming and trying to get it going. All the Suns fans looking at me crazy, but I'm like, come on, man. Now, I was trying to scream, light the beam in their face, like a real Kings fan. But Grant, though, let's get back to some higher level thinking right now, Grant.
Yep.
Who else could have bought the team, Grant? That would have kept it in Sacramento.
Well, here's the deal. There are David Stern was not going to let the Kings leave. Had Vivek not been the man, there would have been someone else. The reason why David Stern went to Vivek was time was very much of the essence with the Board of Governors meeting coming up on, I think, May 15th. And Vivek had already been vetted by the league because he was a minority owner of the Warriors. And you can ask any, and I've had this conversation with a lot of the local minority owners that first put in $1 million. Even their $1 million was vetted. And I talked with some of these individuals about the process that they had to go through for the league to vet them. And it's not an overnight process. It is a unbelievably thorough process that the league goes through to vet you before you can become a minority owner or a managing general partner. Vivek didn't have to be vetted. He was already vetted by the league, which was very much part of perfect scenario with the time constraints that were being dealt with. But David Stern was not going to let the Kings leave Sacramento. Kevin Johnson obviously was instrumental. There would have been another owner to step up and save the team, but got to give Vivek credit. He was there. He was the man, and unfortunately, that was his best move that he's made. Since then, it's been all downhill.
One last thing then, Grant. So how much did that play of him having that India connection for us to have those fan base out there in India? We had once he bought the team, we had 3 preseason games, or at least 2, I think, out there. So I know that was probably why he was brought in
Well,
there
you
to
know what?
help expand those global
Yeah,
borders, right?
that was in 2019. The league is trying to tap into new markets, and
Business,
India
baby.
has phenomenal potential, but there's also major issues with going back to India. And as you've noticed, the NBA has not gone back to India. The league was
One last
definitely
thing, Grant.
formed. Yeah.
One last thing, Grant. I'm sorry. I'm trying to get the most I can. I got to milk you like a California cow. Now, hold on. I gotta get all I can, man. I'm talking to a Hall of Famer in my
Oh,
eyes.
stop.
Grant, so when we were talking about that, right? Now we're talking about money. Who's the most valuable player on the Kings that people come to see, right? Kevin Durant has the Suns selling out. Even if they suck, people are still coming to see KD. Now, if we
Yeah.
rebuild the team, who can come to Vivek and say, hey, this is who we can keep and this is who we can market around? Like, what can Keegan be that? Or will we have to keep Levine
You
and
know
go
what?
that direction?
I'm going to answer this question, or your question, this way. Kings fans don't really care about that stuff. They care about winning. And if you put a winning team on the floor, you and 11 of your best friends could be on the bench. And if you won close to 50 games and were a viable playoff team every year, they wouldn't care if they had never heard of you before. That's the reality about Sacramento
That's the
Kings fans.
market of the Sacramento Kings market.
Come out, play
Wow,
your ass
Grant.
off, play your ass off, play hard, get into the playoffs every year. They don't need. Sure, they would love to have Luka, but they a Kevin Durant. They would love to have a Steph Curry. They would love to have a SGA. They would love to have a Jason Tatum. I can go on and on. A Giannis. Of course they would. But if you put a winning product on the floor, Kings fans will just go crazy.
Okay. Hey, I appreciate the conversation. Hall of
Thank you.
Famer Ryan, way to pull him out that cabinet, man. You guys have
Take
Have
care.
a good one. Appreciate you.
Love hearing from you.
Oh, did we lose Nate?
Sorry about that. I was getting ready to do a read, and I hit the wrong button. I want to talk to you about Sunrise Landing in Calusa, and check it out by going to CalusaSunrise.com. Sunrise Landing from Blazona Development with many models to choose from, various lot sizes. You have no homeowners at Sunrise Landing. You have no Melrose. Love the location, especially if you like to golf. It's adjacent to the Calusa Golf and Country Club, so it's not just golf. You have good access to the major arteries, I-5, Highway 45, Highway 20. Again, go to CalusaSunrise.com, and you'll get all the information you need on Sunrise Landing.
Interesting. I'm vetting some Doug Christie audio at the moment. Hopefully,
You're going to say we didn't make him feel us?
No, but the question was asked about taking your foot off the gas in terms of practice time. And Doug responded back to that accordingly from what I've heard, but I want to make sure that we get it all confirmed and it's not a repost first. So let's get GP. Watch the 3-second delay. 3, 2, 1. GP.
Hey, how you guys doing? I had to be on time, you know.
Yeah.
Hey, Grant, I agree with you, man. We got to let money go. This is ridiculous. We honestly lost that trade when I feel like in my eyes, lost the trade and the season when we didn't get a point guard back, such as a CP3 could have been an easy target for us. I don't know if the numbers fit, but even getting Markelle Fultz, or we needed something to spark these guys up. Like I say, even at IT, but I don't know who was out there that we could have gotten other than, I feel like CP3. I think he would have fit in perfectly, like Rajon Rondo did. Helping the Kings towards the end of his career there, but yeah, these guys just, they love turning the ball over. And Grant, if the team can't play defense like Doug used to back in 2000, that I don't know what we're gonna do, because honestly, we don't have guys that want to, that want to actually play defense and lock you down. We have guys that want to play offense that need the ball, but who actually wants to guard a guy? Or even let's give an example of the Warriors, right? Terrible closeouts all game, Grant. We're acting like we don't know that, hey, Buddy Hield will pump fake you and shoot the ball. Why are we running at guys? That's number one, Grant. Like under Doug, I thought, contesting the jump shot would be a better thing, but it has not. That's where we're like, that's the start right there. When you are jumping on pump fakes, or when you are jumping and there is no need, it breaks down your defense. It causes other guys, it's going to cause frustration. But I think it starts right there. And Doug has to, instill it in their brains. Obviously, Zach LaVine, he doesn't defend. DeMar DeRozan, he's towards the end of his career. There, you got two guys. How do you want the rest of the other three to make up for it? Keegan can't make up for everything. Neither can Sabonis. But as you can tell, he was, obviously important to this team. He's what do you call a connector on the offensive side and defensive side, Sabonis. So that's why you've seen a little bit of a better product out there today. But still, Monk still made those turnovers.
All right, so let me jump in here for a minute, because
Yeah.
you're writing a book, and I understand you're frustrated, and you make some good points.
No, I'm not. I'm not frustrated. I just haven't talked to you guys in a minute.
Well, and that's fine. Let me ask you,
yeah.
on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being great confidence, 1 no, very little confidence, where are you right now with the direction of the Kings and the future of the Kings?
Grant, I'm at a 5. I'm at a 50-50.
Okay.
We got to let Monty go. We got to bring in a point guard, and we got to bring in some guys that want to actually play defense and build, and put it. And obviously this season, it's not a total loss, but at the same time,
Sure it is. It's a total loss.
One thing I disagree. One thing I disagree.
It's a total loss. You're not going to be in the playoff.
Yeah, you're right.
You fired the coach. You're paying a coach that doesn't work for you $30 million. You traded your most popular player. You have
Grant, he was not popular. Fox was not popular. Fox was
popular. Are you freaking kidding me?
No,
No, that's
I'm
not
saying
fair. That's not fair.
No, towards
that's
the end.
not fair. That's not fair.
No, it's
not
Grant,
popular. Oh,
Grant,
stop it.
Grant, I was watching the product, and Fox was a player who had given up on the team. You even said it yourself. Fox,
yeah, but that didn't mean that doesn't mean he's not popular. For his 8 years in Sacramento, he was the most popular player on the team.
Grant, just like you guys were saying about 30 seconds ago, Sacramento, it could be 11 of your best friends on the goddamn bench. Sacramento appreciates
you to say that De'Aaron Fox was not popular is ignorant.
I'm saying towards the end of his career was not popular.
No, you didn't say it. No, you didn't say that. You didn't say that.
Well,
that's popular.
All right. Well, that's what I meant.
Popular.
Towards the end of his career, we wanted him out.
He had lost a lot of fans, yes. But over the totality of his career in Sacramento, he was one of the most popular players in franchise history.
He did cheer for his tribute video.
Okay. Grant, I get
the Sacramento Kings. Wait a minute, stop.
No, I get you that the guy was popular.
Stop.
But what are we going to do with popularity when
Brian, get him off. Get him off. Stop. Go ask the employees in the Sacramento Kings team store at the arena how many De'Aaron Fox jerseys they sold compared to everyone else. Go ask them. Next time you're in the arena, just go, hey, I had a conversation with Grant Napier, and he wanted me to ask you this. How long have you worked here? Oh, you've worked here 10 years or 8 years, whatever. How popular was De'Aaron Fox in terms of merchandise? Oh, we couldn't keep it in stock. He was the number one guy. Stop it with your stupidity.
Due to the fans. That does nothing for the fans.
Oh my God!
All right, GP.
If he's not producing,
GP, go away. You're pissing me off tonight. Go away. You're not making any sense.
I understand what GP was trying to get at, but he phrased it wrong. That was the fatal flaw.
And then he jumped into it even more.
Lamb, Mr. Creative around here. What's up, buddy?
Ready to get creative.
Get creative. Here we go.
Here we go. I have on a windbreaker, New Balance NB, but tonight we're going to call it New Works Basketball.
Okay.
Okay.
New Works Basketball. All right.
All right. All right. So I think that, geez, what was I going to say? I totally slipped my mind, guys.
Well, guess what? My finger
I
just
was
slipped the
wrapped on.
off button. Have a good weekend. All right. If you want to get in on the show, give us a shout and we will put you on. Don't forget about my rant with Grant. That is going to be coming up in a little bit. And also, don't forget about the great brunch and food at Bennett's, whether it is the West Side Grill in Rockland or their other 2 locations in Roseville and in Sacramento. Go to Bennett'sRestaurants.com, make a reservation or more, and check out their great menu with prime seafood and steaks. And again, don't forget about their weekend brunch. It is outstanding. Enjoy it. Go to Bennett'sRestaurants.com and make a reservation. Say hello to Brian and the gang. Brian's obviously not in all 3 locations simultaneously, but he is at all 3 locations on a regular basis. And I always love talking to Brian and, sitting down and breaking some bread with him when I'm in Sacramento. And he appreciates your business, and we appreciate everything that Brian does for this show. Bennett'sRestaurants.com.
Ain't too early to hop on Mother's Day, y'all. And as a side note, I don't think they have lamb on the menu either. So what's up, Guru?
How you guys doing?
Good. How are you?
All right. Yeah, I got a lot to say here. I'm upset at the Fox trade still. I called it a month ago. Getting Zach LaVine was just not the move to keep trying to win. And I wish we could have got some young pieces from the Spurs and stuff like that. And now we're here. McNair deserves a lot to blame. But we got to give a lot of blame to Vivek as well. He's probably the one that wanted Zach LaVine to kind of stay relevant as the team. I don't know if he was in charge of the firing. Well, I think he was in charge of the firing for the Mike Brown. And so that was on him as well. I think there's been too much blame on Doug Christie. I mean, the guy just had so much drama this year. He just was in a bad position. And he's still 20-15. I mean, I don't want to give him a lot of props or anything, but he kind of had a pretty crappy position, just getting fired, Fox and everything like that. So I don't want to get too much hate on him. The big 3 words I want to say is blow it up. This team's not going anywhere. Blow it up. There's no point in continuing with this. Sabonis, get 2 firsts for him. Get 3 seconds for DeMar. Get 2 seconds for LaVine.
Nobody's going to take LaVine
nobody's
with that
taking
contract.
LaVine. That's
You're stuck with him.
I probably agree. I just wish we could get maybe 1 second. 1 second. Can we get 1 second?
You know what? You can't trade a guy who's making $48 million for a 2nd-round pick. Okay. Come on, you call yourself a guru. I mean, really, explain to me how that's going to work with the cap.
Well, I was including 3 crappy contracts as well. Just 3, just obviously the salary's got to match and everything, but just a 2nd-round pick, anything. So that's 2 firsts for Sabonis, a couple seconds from DeMar, keep Devin Carter, Keegan Murray.
Thank God you're not the general manager. Oh my God.
I mean, what are we doing with this team? We're not going to do anything with this team. We got to get rid of all these guys and start over. It's not going anywhere. There's no defense. The offense is stagnant. We're just not going to keep up with this 3-point shooting era. It's just not going to happen.
Well, that era is kind of changing to a degree. You're seeing teams bolster under this new CBA more. Look, I'll give you this about the Fox trade. We're still not far enough away to fully judge it, but I'm fairly confident saying the team did not understand their team when they traded for Zach LaVine, because many of us were sitting here saying, Fox, he's in between a point guard and a scoring guard. Jerry Reynolds says he's more of a scorer. That was the problem. You needed somebody more clear in here. And to your point, Zach, they opted for a Zach LaVine. Maybe they thought that's the Band-Aid that holds the fan base over. Maybe that somehow will magically work and put some little Sacramento sprinkle dust on it. It hasn't. It's blown up, and now Monty has that bad contract. So that's what's most disappointing to me, because
It won't be
Grant,
Monty's problem because he won't be here. It will be somebody else's problem.
but you and Jerry both said trading De'Aaron Fox could be the most important trade in Sacramento history.
Yes.
We're headed down that road.
Yep. Yet no question. But you also have to understand, when you talk about Fox, Zach, and Ryno, he had checked out. He did not want to be here anymore. And
Right.
his representatives of Clutch Sports made it very known that he was done in Sacramento. And you saw towards the end of his playing days here, his attitude and his I don't care attitude, which is what it looked like to me. De'Aaron, you were never going to change his mindset to that. So the Kings were kind of in a rock and a hard place with De'Aaron. I personally would have waited until the summertime.
Right.
I think you could have done a lot more with this. I think they rushed. I think they panicked. I would have been fine to just say, you know what, we'll deal with this in the summertime.
He wouldn't have looked terribly out of place tonight, Zach.
I mean, yeah, I didn't even mind trading him. I just wish we got not the Levine, even if it was Devin Vassell, and another good pick, something like that. I would have had way better than Zach Levine for the replacement for that. But I mean, we just got to start over. I mean, our defense is absolutely, like, it's one of the worst in the league. I've seen it. I mean, it's just atrocious. And I don't think it's going to get any better when you got Monk, Levine, DeMar, Sabonis as your main four guys. I mean, that's just not going to happen. And then, sorry, I just want to say Levine's, like you guys said, Levine's not going to be worth anything. I mean, just trying to get rid of him is going to be a miracle. But just try to get some good picks from the rest of the players.
And here's the other bottom line, too. The guys that came in, I think JV's been fine for the most part, but now they have gotten a sample size of this organization. They have got a sample size of what basketball currently is in Sacramento. And I guess what concerns me is seeing Zach LaVine the last two games, especially when it mattered, not in the fourth when it was out of hand, doesn't look like he's particularly happy playing right now. There's not a lot of joy there, and you've got a ways to go with him and some decisions to make. That's scary to me.
Yeah, because I don't want it to be next year where we're just continuing this and just trying to see if we can have better chemistry and all that stuff. I don't want to see that.
If this continues through the end of the season, Grant, I think we're headed to a place where Sabonis, DeMar, are they here? Are they not here? And that could trigger whatever changes ultimately are made if you blow it up or not. But if I'm those two guys,
how could it not be heading that way? I mean, who on the upcoming schedule are they going to beat?
Exactly. Spot on. Who are they going to be competitive with? So that's where we're headed. And it didn't have to be that way, Zach. You're right. You get some younger pieces. Could have been a retool.
Yep.
Yeah, just those three words, man. Blow it up. Just that's going to be it for the rest of the season.
Thank you, Zach.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Hey, I want to talk to you about Connor at Element Mortgage. Okay, Captain, you can get that QR code out of the top right-hand corner now.
Got it.
Let me, co-pilot will run the show here for a minute. Love talking to Connor. And if I have real estate agents that are watching this program, if you need a lender who's going to work hard for your clients the same way you do, Connor's a guy that I think is going to be perfect for you. He gets the deals done. He keeps you informed every step of the way. And give him a call at 916-505-1006. Again, he'll keep you informed every step in the loan process. He makes the process easy for your buyers. Reach out to him today at 916-505-1006 and see the difference that a great lender makes. And folks, if you are buying a home, reach out to Connor. Trust, experience, has both of those. His resume speaks for itself. I know he's not very happy right now because he's a diehard Kings fan. He's from Folsom, local guy, knows the market inside and out. Again, folks, Connor's number, 916-505-1006.
Connor, you got to get that Royale colored jacket off, my man. Let's get something purple. Let's go some silver.
You don't like? I like that jacket. No,
No, it's a good color. It's a good color.
It looks perfect on the graphic with the lake and everything. It's perfect.
Have you noticed above his picture? I think there's a little bit more to that picture. It almost looks like there's a faint picture of somebody else behind him, maybe a daughter.
Oh,
see
very
that?
interesting. Any weights in the background? Like you see any barbells, dumbbells?
No, he looks more like a CrossFit guy to me. That's why I was worried about leg day with him.
Maybe he swims across the lake and then gets on his bike and then does, you never know.
Yeah,
You know
could.
what I mean?
Very well could. Trek through the forest with your kayak over your shoulders.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Absolutely is
Dude's
right.
a beast. He's got some
122 to 106. Too bad the Kings aren't a beast. They are just stinking up the joint. That's 4 straight losses, starting with the Clippers, the Knicks, the Warriors, and now the Suns, and a daunting schedule starting with Memphis coming up next.
I truly think, and I'll kick this to you, if Doug doesn't, his hand might be forced into making some changes. I think this fan base, if they see this same product, the same combinations, is going to push back on this homestand if the results don't change.
Well, then the question is going to be, Doug, after the Warriors game, you said that was not going to happen, and now all of a sudden it's happened. Why'd you, what is it his decision, or is it coming from above him?
It's a good
or
question.
Does it not even matter?
I think it probably doesn't matter at this point. It's the fans want to see competitive basketball.
Yeah,
fans
you're right.
They want to see defense into offense. They want to see effort.
Yeah,
testing.
you're right.
Grant, we were complaining about guys fouling 3-point shooters. I would have loved to see a couple of those instead of guys just watching,
Yeah. All right, I'm going to do my rant, and maybe you can check on some sound from Doug that you were looking for, and then we'll see where we're at after that. How's that sound?
Sounds great.
All right, a rant with Grant is brought to you by EDH Motors, automotive reimagined. David and Adam, just 2 guys trying to do something different and better, and they're looking to sell your vehicle. You've got the number on your screen there. You've got their email. And I'm also going to put up their website for you, because if you are not looking to sell a vehicle but looking to buy a vehicle, you go to edhmotors.com and look at everything that they have. But if you don't see what you're looking for, no problem. David and Adam, with their decades of automotive experience, will get it for you. And then you'll take delivery at their auto lounge at the El Dorado Hills Town Center. It's so nice. You don't have to go to a dealership and deal with all of that. These guys are great. And it is an awesome concept at EDH Motors. You go to edhmotors.com and you'll get all the information you need at EDH Motors, automotive reimagined. And now a time for a rant with Grant. The word of the night, or the last 24 hours, or the last 72 hours, is frustration. But you know what? It's not just frustration with this week or last week. It's frustration with, other than 2 years ago, you've been frustrated since 2006. And you had a reprieve 2 seasons ago when you won 48 games and were the number 3 seed, and you lost a thrilling 7-game series to Steph and the Warriors. But other than that year, when have you not been frustrated since Rick Adelman walked out of the building? Name me one season other than 2 years ago where you have not been frustrated. 2025, I go back a long time ago, probably 1992, maybe 3. Mitch Richmond was asked during the low point of the Kings, do you see any light at the end of the tunnel? Mitch responded, I don't even see the tunnel. I'm not ready to say that you don't see the tunnel right now, but I'm not seeing light at the end of the tunnel. I like Doug Christie. I know his heart. I know what he's about. He has faults just like every other human, but he's got a lot of great qualities. And more than anything else, He loves Sacramento and loves the Sacramento Kings. I can say that unequivocally 100%. He's not a head coach. You have Monty McNair, who's had a chance, a very long chance, to fix everything. He's made some good moves, but he's also made some bad moves, and he has failed to do the most important move, and that's to get a bona fide point guard. That's on Monty McNair. I can't do anything about the owner. You can't do anything about the owner. He can't be fired. So that's a problem. I don't know how you fix that problem. I don't know how you get around that problem, but that is a problem with a capital P. You had De'Aaron Fox did not want to be here anymore. I got to believe that as soon as the Kings are done for the season, you're going to hear the same thing about Domantas Sabonis. He's going to want out. Can you blame him? And then who's going to follow him out the door? And then where do you go? The Kings are 500. They're only ahead of the Dallas Mavericks because the Mavericks have their entire team hurt. The Phoenix Suns are not out of it, although their schedule is daunting. How could the Kings possibly win 2 games in the play-in tournament? How could they? They can't defend the 3. They can't shoot the 3. They don't do this. They don't do that. There's no hope for this year. And when you look at the roster, how could there be hope for next year? Your first-round draft pick this year shows glimpses, but he's not ready. And offensively, he's so far from being ready. Where's the hope? Where's the help on the horizon? In all likelihood, you're going to have a new general manager this summer. You're going to have a new head coach. And then you're like, here we go again. Are the pieces going to fit? Right now, they don't fit. You're 500. Doug does not really have more than 2 or 3 signature wins. One at Boston was great. I think the win at Houston was very good. But almost every break that the Kings could have possibly had during their wins, they got, starting with Philadelphia when the Kings went on their long win streak. No Embiid, no Oubre. And then every team that came in had their main guys out. The table was set up perfectly. And the Kings took advantage of that. And they got on a roll. And again, they went into Boston, and that was their signature win for the year. They played well, and you're thinking, wow, okay, here we go. This team is 500. They're not going to be 500 when the season ends. I don't think they're going to win 40 games. So big deal. They get into the play-in with 38, 39, 40, maybe if they're lucky, 41 wins. That's not a successful season. Who are they going to beat? Who are they going to beat? So I understand the frustration. Trust me, I've been with the Kings since 1988. I know all about frustration. I'm an expert in frustration. I lived through it for decades, with the exception of 9 seasons. Think about that. 32 years of announcing NBA basketball, 9 playoffs in 32 years. It's unbelievable to me. I'm not counting the playoff appearance 2 years ago because I wasn't part of that. You're not going to be in the playoffs this year. I can't say with certainty about next year because I don't know what the roster is going to look like. But I don't see any light at the end of the tunnel. And I know I'm speaking for many of you. You don't see light at the end of the tunnel. It's a bad situation when you have your best players want to leave. Fox is gone, and you have to wonder, is Sabonis going to follow him out the door this summer? Why would he want to stay here? Things are looking bleak in Sacktown. And that's my rant for tonight.
I thought a few people were starting to exhale, and then I heard some more hyperventilating, and then it's like, okay, well, at least we've got the truth. So good job by you. We do have audio from Doug. It's the best quality we could get. It's about 2 minutes, so we'll play that for you. We'll put some stats up in the meantime. This was Doug after the game.
I know you've taken your foot off the gas a little bit in terms of practice time, but do you feel like you need to get the guys back on the court and work on some things, or just how do you work on these next couple days?
Who told you that?
Of what?
Of that I took my foot off the gas.
Because guys were saying you practiced less.
No, well, in the beginning we did, okay. But since we got everybody here and made all the trades, we practiced quite a bit actually. In my opinion, maybe even a little bit too much but trying to work all those guys in, make sure they know it, make sure they know rotations, all those things. That's difficult. So we will have a practice day, and we will go over pick and rolls, all the different things that we struggle with. But as far as practice in the beginning, yeah, we didn't practice. Those guys all knew the offense. They all knew every aspect of what we were doing. I shrunk it down and simplified it so there wasn't no need. Really, I need your legs right now. I need your minds. I need you to come into the game and give that shit up. Right now is a little different. And whether it's shoot around, whether it's practice, we've been working to try to make sure that we're all on the same page, because it's a lot of different. It's a small lineup. It's a big lineup. It's Domas coming back. It's Malik coming back. It's a lot to try to figure out in a short amount of time with guys that have different lingo patterns because they've been on different teams. And it still happens. You call something, they're looking at you like, and I have to understand that it's part of what we go through. This is not easy to figure it out on the fly, but that's what we're here to do. We're here to win one game at a time. The next one in the crosshairs is the Memphis Grizzlies, and we got to figure out a way to beat a really good team. Coming home with honeydew lists and all that stuff is difficult. People know on the road, but it's not an excuse. Reality, figure it out, because nobody cares.
Doug, I asked you.
All right, so Jimmy Butler had no problem figuring it out. The Dallas Mavericks last year, when they added new pieces to their team, had no problem figuring it out. Why would veteran players have such a problem of figuring it out? It takes a little bit of time, but we're in the middle of March now. We're a month past this. If you don't have it figured out by now, you're not going to have it figured out.
Yeah, Grant, I think maybe you can speak better to this. An NBA playbook and NBA schemes is not exactly an NFL quarterback getting traded and picking up a brand new team's playbook.
Exactly. It's not as hard as he's making it sound. And Doug's been traded before, so he's gone through the experience of going from a team to another team in the middle of the season. I haven't, but I think he is exaggerating a little bit, quite frankly. And I think he's, in a way, without saying it, he's making an excuse there. That's what he's doing. I don't buy that.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you too. The defensive schemes in the NBA are mostly about the drop. Who are you going to help on? How far are you going to help off? In little things we saw. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I shouldn't have interrupted you. Go ahead.
We saw some good things tonight. The guys that play together or have been together for a couple of years, they know the areas where they can trap. They caused a turnover with Kevin Durant, but you don't see that with the other guys. Understandable. But schemes with pick and rolls, Grant, you're either going over or you're under. It's not like it's a more complicated thing.
Did Luka have a problem figuring it out in LA?
No.
Jimmy Butler have a problem figuring it out in Golden State?
No, and the naysayers are going to say, well, they've got Steph Curry next to him. They have LeBron James next to him.
Good argument. Good argument. But Zach LaVine's got DeMar DeRozan next to him, who is a multiple-time All-Star, who is revered around the league by all the teams, who is a upper echelon NBA player, right?
Yeah.
You have Malik Monk's been in the league for a number of years. It's not like you're playing with guys that don't know what they're doing. Sabonis has been a multiple-time All-Star 3 times. I mean, hello.
Look, NBA guys like to be put in their spots. They like to be set up for success. And certainly part of basketball is being out of your comfort zone at times, but I feel like more guys than not are being asked to operate outside of their comfort zones to make up for the deficiencies on this roster, just like the point guard position.
Well, you got Memphis coming in next. Murderers Row continues in this big homestand coming up, and I don't see a lot of wins. I really don't. Good luck. That's all I can say. Good luck. The Kings, to me, look lost right now. They don't seem to have their heads into it. And I think that the players in the locker room know that it's not there. And this thing, if you think it's ugly right now, this thing could go from ugly to very, very ugly real quick.
Yeah, and here's the other thing. The Kings, 106 tonight. The night before, 104. The night before that, 104. And against the Clippers, 110. And that was an overtime game. That's not enough points to beat some of these teams coming into the G1C.
And they'll use an excuse. Well, we didn't have Domas for 3 of those games, and his first game back, he only had 12 points. He's rusty, and you know.
But wait, I thought you said JV was the pickup of the trade deadline. He was playing out of his mind.
I understand. I'm just telling you. You know what the narrative is going to be.
Exactly.
For those that don't want to admit reality, they're going to use that. So, well, on that note, we can just invite everyone to have a good weekend, right?
Yes, absolutely. Try to get some rest, get some Bennett's in you. Brunch 11 to 2 p.m.
Yeah.
And take your mind off the Kings for a day or two.
All right. To everyone else, we really appreciate you joining us. These have not been easy shows, and we appreciate all the feedback, all the phone calls, your interest in the program. Please subscribe if you have not already done so. Take a second to hit the thumbs up button, the like button. We would greatly appreciate that. And we'll talk to you after the weekend. All we can say is hang in there, man. It's only basketball, right? Yeah. Wow. Good luck. So long, everybody. Thank you. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.